I don't like simple living. I don't like it.
The term simple living is like the term frugality. Nobody likes it. I don't even like it. I don't even like the term frugality, and I don't like the term simple living. Why? Because it paints a picture in one's mind that is a kind of a cliche picture that most people have a similar kind of picture, even though your own picture or my own picture may be very, very different. So I don't know if we'll be able to fool the fish or not. You know, and you see people in the retirement groups, and I think it's one of the reasons why people stay on the treadmill, on the 9-to-5 treadmill as long as possible. It's because of this picture, this erroneous picture of of what is referred to as simple living, which in reality simply means an uncomplicated life. That's the real meaning. To me, when I talk of simple living, I mean an uncomplicated life. It doesn't mean I'm not achieving whatever it is I want to be doing, or that I don't have any goals, or that I don't have anything that I want to do, or any new things I want to enjoy or test or try, or, you know, like we decided to go abroad and have experiences. We've used simple living for everything we've done in life. We used simple living when we were homesteaders, and yet we had a house with a pool.
Simple living to me sounds like minimalism, and we're not minimalists.
We're not minimalists, yet when it's practical, we use minimalism. But we don't subscribe to the concept of minimalism simply for the ideal of being able to carry the label of minimalist. And it's the same way with a simple living. It's like we were homesteaders and we lived an uncomplicated life. We didn't have a lot of commitments. That's what that really means. It doesn't mean you have no commitments. When somebody first jumps off the treadmill and retires, the first few years, of course, are going to be an endless vacation, but that gets tiring and boring. And of course, that's what a lot of times is held up as the shining example of what to aspire to, but it isn't. When we look further into this idea of retirement, what we really mean, and it's just the beginning. It's the beginning of a new chapter in your life, and simple living simply means that we aren't going to complicate our lives. Like, for example, having to get up, having to even set an alarm clock, because I haven't set an alarm clock. I lost count how many decades ago I don't even use an alarm clock. And it has nothing to do with retirement, because I still wake up and do all of the things and I keep myself busy. But having to set an alarm clock, then having to get ready to go to work, having to sit here and fight traffic, commute, be at a certain building every single day, do all of these responsibilities for 8 hours, and then do it all over again, go back home and all that. That is a very complicated life to me. You know, you have all these commitments every single day. And again, it's not about not having any commitments, it's choosing the amount of commitments that make sense to you. And I realize, but wait a minute, Frank, I need a job, I need money, I need blah, blah, blah. Right. But I'm saying that once we reach a certain level of existence where we understand certain concepts in their entirety, because these concepts are out there, but the way they're held out, and that's why I'm talking about it in this video, is superficial. It's like simple living. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go dumpster diving. I'm going to just end up having to eat lentils every day. I'm going to, extreme retirement extreme. Everybody's heard of retirement extreme, right? The guy that lived in a travel trailer and ate lentils every day. And that's exactly what I'm not talking about. An uncomplicated life means you make the choice as to how much commitment you take in your life. And I say that the type of commitment, it's not just a choice of how much commitment you take in your life, but it's also a choice of what type of commitment you take in your life, if you take any commitments at all. And you know, it's like we take just enough commitments to keep life interesting, and we make the commitments that we enjoy taking in life, again, to keep life interesting. It's like when we traveled the United States in a 30-foot travel trailer with children, and we visited all parts of the United States, and that was in my early 30s. That was an amazing time. It's something that I'll always have that memory with me, and the time that we spent together raising our children, and you know, and at the beach, and all of the wonderful experiences that we had was also simple living. It was an uncomplicated existence. And then when we went abroad, it was the same thing. We didn't, you know, complicate our lives by, you know, it's just that everywhere we travel, we're always making sure that we live within our means and we're going local. But at the same time, it doesn't mean not traveling. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's simple living, yet it's productive. And so it's not the superficial simple living that is espoused in common circles where you would have to say, well, I'm going to end up having to engage in simple living, which means I won't be able to travel. And you hear a lot of people in the retirement community say things like, well, we have to have a separate budget for the travel. And yes, you do have to have a separate budget for the travel. We had a budget to travel even when we were in Cuenca, Ecuador. We spent 8 years in Ecuador. We had a budget to travel a couple of times a year from Ecuador. And we did that. So I'm just saying that when you are intentional about your living, you can take these concepts and ideas and understand that as they're commonly understood, they aren't necessarily actually understood. And that you can do a lot more with them than meets the eye and is commonly known. So, all right, so what's your thought of simple living? What picture comes in your mind when you think of simple living? And being able to say goodbye to a lot of commitments, and you know, that's another thing that we hear in retirement circles, that people didn't realize what freedom was really like. It's like you get so accustomed to having all of these commitments, you sort of mentally normalize having an unnatural amount of commitments, and that when you get off of that treadmill and you realize how much less stress and how much more enjoyable life is, and then at that moment your eyes are opened and you realize that, wow, that was way more commitments and way more complicated a life than I really should have been having. It's just that I had normalized it over a period of so many years and didn't realize it until I jumped off the treadmill and realized how much more stable and sane and stress-free my life is now. And even with living intentionally and redefining the word work, we can still achieve that level of simply having a more interesting life, still having a level of commitments that make sense to us and the type of commitments that we really enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was inspiring to you. Thank you for coming to the video, and have a wonderful day.